You are listening to the So Now What podcast with Lana Manikowski, episode number 199.
So now what? These three words raced through my mind time and time again during my journey through fertility treatments. I tried desperately to have a child, but never was able. I yearned for a community to join that could understand my struggles. I couldn't find one, so I created one with the So Now What podcast. I love that you found us.
So good to see you again this week if you're watching on YouTube. If you're listening on your favorite podcast platform, I'm so glad to be in your ears this week because we're going to talk about something that I was working on in my coaching program, Thrive After Infertility, with some of my students, and I thought I'd bring it up this week on the podcast. So let's get right into it because when IVF ends without a baby, most people on the outside, not us, but most people assume that the hardest part is behind you. And maybe for us too, we have this sense of relief because the shots are done, the appointments stop, that waiting game that we live in day to day just starts to feel less, there's like less maybe ambiguity in your life. And so from the outside, it can seem like you are finally at rest because you know that there is this starting point of creating this life without kids. And what a lot of women tell me is that once that decision is made, this is where the struggle begins because life just decides to keep on moving. You're still working your job. You're still waking up every day functioning. You still have things on your calendar. You have choices that you have to make. And somewhere in the middle of all of that, this thought continually shows up that I don't know how to enjoy being me anymore. And that thought, yes, it can feel really scary to admit outside of our circle of being childless after infertility here on the podcast. But it comes up and it feels scary because you might not look on the outside like you are falling apart. You're keeping it together. You might not be crying every day. You might be able to function at what other people see as a high level. But inside for you, you know that this version of you that you thought you were going to become, this version of you who is going to be a mother, is not in your future anymore. And so today, I want to talk about what that is, the space after IVF, the space where after the dream is shifting, and how enjoyment slowly disappears and how it can actually return to your life. So before IVF ended, you felt like there was direction, there was always hope. And when treatments, even though they were exhausting and taxing and causing a lot of emotion, it felt like there was purpose on the other side of it. And your body was working really hard at something. Your time was organized around something that you thought was going to happen, and your future probably felt like it had shape. So when IVF doesn't work and that structure falls away, there is this space in your life that exists, but no clear roadmap and oftentimes no clear destination, right? So it's like putting something in Google Maps and you know where you are here, but you don't know where that destination is, nor is there a roadmap of telling you where to turn every step of the way. And so what happens? Like your mind keeps going back to what was supposed to be there, what route was supposed to be showing up on that map. And when it doesn't show up, it is so common for you to question and say to yourself, this is not how my life was supposed to turn out. This was not the direction it was supposed to go. I worked so hard for something that never happened, and I just don't recognize this version of my life. So if those thoughts make sense to you, I want to acknowledge that, yes, that is where many people land after infertility treatments and this path to parenthood does not happen the way that you thought. And they don't have to be a problem. That doesn't mean that you are a problem. It means that you are grieving. We've talked about that these last couple episodes here. Last episode in 198, and I want to say it was 196, we talked about grief. And that happens because your mind keeps showing you what didn't happen. It becomes very hard to feel steady in what is happening and what has happened. And that is not weakness. That is loss pulling at your attention and being like, hey, we need some help over here. I am not supposed to be here. I am not supposed to be struggling. I am supposed to know that my life has purpose and meaning, but I don't know where to start. So losing that dream of motherhood causes all of that. And this isn't because your mindset is wrong. This isn't because you haven't said enough affirmations. It's not because you are a Debbie Downer. It's not just something that you automatically start thinking new thoughts about, because this is not small. This is not motivating yourself to go to the gym. You wanted a child. You built your life around that plan, and walking away from that future creates this ache that shows up in our normal day to day. So if feeling enjoyment around your life isn't showing up for you, it does not mean that you are doing something wrong. It means that this grief that you have, that is absolutely valid, even if you never even lost something. You all know that I never even once had a positive pregnancy test in my life. So for me, I was like, how could I be grieving something that never even existed? That is part of what disenfranchised grief is all about. Grieving something that most people don't recognize is a loss because there was never anything physical that you have to show for this loss. And grief takes up a huge amount of space. And when you're already carrying loss, your brain becomes more alert to reminders of it. You notice the families around you more. You notice when you go into a restaurant and you see the strollers at the front door because the kids are in the back with their families sitting in the high chair. You notice how your weekends look different and maybe feel as though they aren't bustling with things to do. And your brain starts to tell you stories. Things like that one sitting in the back with their baby in the high chair, they got to move forward. They got what I wanted. Something's wrong with me. I'm the one who got left out. I'm the one who was forgotten. And those stories add a huge amount of weight to the way that you feel every day. They pull you backwards again and again. And when your attention keeps getting pulled backward like that, it's hard to feel grounded, hard to feel like you can establish a roadmap forward in the todays that you are living. So when I talk about enjoying being you, I'm not talking about liking what happened, not finding the silver lining in it or learning the lesson that life was supposed to teach you by dragging you through this pathway that left you childless. And I'm certainly never going to tell you that there is a reason that you need to feel grateful for infertility. I'm talking about something so much smaller and so much more powerful. It's that enjoyment begins when you stop postponing every moment of ease around you. And there's little things, these micro things that are happening around us so many times in the day that bring us the smallest amount of enjoyment. But we tell ourselves that we can't find enjoyment or feel enjoyment until we have figured out how to stop feeling lost and questioning our purpose and feeling like we are an outsider when we walk into a room where we are the only ones without kids. So here's the truth. That loss of your dream of motherhood is probably always going to stick with you. It will always have some sort of connection in your life, some reminder that reminds you of something that you thought you were going to have and you don't. But that doesn't mean that relief around it is off limits. You can hold the sadness that you have and still allow those small moments of happiness, those small moments of joy, of peace, of gratitude to steady inside of you. And that's where the enjoyment begins. Another thing that often happens after IVF ends without a baby is that you stop listening to yourself. You tell yourself that there is no trust that you have for yourself. You busy yourself so that you feel like you are productive. You overwork. Maybe you say yes to events that you don't want to go to because it feels easier to do those things than explaining why you don't want to. You show up strong because that's what you are trained to do to make other people think that you are okay. I did that for so many years. I can't even tell you how many times I went to corporate events and corporate functions and looked like $1,000,000. And everyone in the room was like, oh my gosh, you look great. I love this. I love that. Cutest outfit, da 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 da. Da. And they did not know not only that I had failed years of fertility treatments, but that I showed up there with every ounce of energy to be an actor in my life. And why did I do that? Because I stopped listening to myself and what I needed, and I started to slowly disconnect from myself. And it's very hard to enjoy someone that you are disconnected from. So this is where this will all become practical. And it's not life-changing overnight, just this honesty of asking yourself, what is one small thing I want to do today that I will feel so proud of myself for doing? What feels manageable for me today? The showing up as an actor in your life so everyone thinks that you are okay and you are unaffected by the fact that you are the only one in the room that is not a mother, that does not feel manageable. What are you forcing that you can let the reins off of a little bit? Those questions are the ones that will allow you to start to rebuild trust in yourself. And when you rebuild trust in yourself, you are allowing yourself to rebuild small moments of enjoyment, because life after IVF is allowed to feel heavy. That does not mean that you are behind. It does not mean that you are stuck forever. And it doesn't mean that you are failing at this stage in your life. Some seasons are heavy because they are heavy. And when you stop fighting the fact that you're feeling heavy, your body is able to relax. You stop waiting to feel like $1,000,000 in order to feel resolved and feel okay again. You let yourself live in that middle space, not where you're perfect, not where you're finished, just here. And spoiler alert, we are never perfect. We are never finished. So stop looking for that and expecting that of you. So just once a day, ask yourself, if I treated myself with the same care I would offer someone else in this situation, what would I do today? Don't overhaul your life. Don't expect yourself to figure it out all at once. Just notice one small shift a day. And before I close, I just want to tell you that there is no roadmap for how you are supposed to handle it. You are the creator of the roadmap. And once you let the reins off yourself a little bit, you'll notice you are going to start plotting those points on the map for yourself just by letting yourself be, and stop thinking that you have to perform to a level of expectation for people who aren't expecting that of you. And that is the most crazy thing. We are usually the one expecting it mostly for ourselves. I know how hard this has been for you. And if you are wanting to feel more connected this year and find opportunities to connect with other women who are on the same desired path to finding enjoyment in their life again, I created the Others Day brunch. It is a brunch that I started in 2022 on Mother's Day weekend. If you haven't heard me talk about it before, I'll put a quick link to it right here in the show notes. But it is an opportunity for you to come into Chicago the weekend of May 8th. It's a 2-day event happening this year. You don't have to come to both days, but if you do, I know that you are going to absolutely love both of the events that I have planned for you. It is specifically for women without children. It's about creating a connection It's about finding meaning when you walk into a room, not wondering, is somebody going to ask how many kids you have or how old your kids are. It's about finding a connection with other women who are building a life that they want to live feeling full, meaningful, and enjoyable. So let me leave you with this. Enjoying being you does not mean that you are leaving motherhood behind. It means that you're learning to live alongside of what you lost. You're allowed to have moments of steadiness. You are allowed to feel relief without feeling guilty about it. And you are allowed to build something meaningful in this life that you're living. So I hope you have a beautiful week. I love you. And remember that it's never too late to discover your meaning. I'll talk to you next week.
Hey, real quick, I just want to tell you about an awesome resource I created. If you have ever found yourself in conversations with people, or maybe people offering you suggestions about what you should do to become a mom, it's called the Top 27 Things People Say When You're Childless and How to Respond. You can get your copy free at lanamanikowski.com/things people say.